Alright, so our next deck of the day. We got this easy Draven mid-range deck. So, one of the more popular, I guess, one of the more well-performing decks on the ladder right now. And one of the new cards that was spoiled for the new set was this Brutal Hunter. And as soon as I saw it, I figured, is that something that could fit in the Draven as a mid-range deck? Could it be a meaningful upgrade? So we're trying it out in this list today. Now, the cut I made for it was the Chump Wump because it shares the same, it takes up the 4 mana slot here. Wanted to see if we could get away with that change. Obviously, Chump Wump and the mushroom clouds that it creates are very important for fueling our rummages, and we even have some sump dredgers in this build. But with the small change I made to the bottom end of the curve here, I took out the house spiders for some clump of webs to generate a single mushroom cloud in hand. I figured maybe that is enough to fuel our discard effects so that we can have just what is overall a better 4-drop pound for pound than the Chump of Wumps. Obviously, it doesn't have a 4th point of attack, but this has Challenger and then Quick Attack the turn it comes into play, which allows us to control the board very nicely. So I figured, this could be a meaningful upgrade to a deck like this, especially when we're facing other mid-range or aggressive decks, while not sacrificing our early game or our aggressive game plan too much in the control matchups. Obviously, only getting a 2/2 for 2 instead of a 2/2 and a 1/1 it isn't as great, especially with things like Ravenous Flock in our deck and like Noxian or Scorched Earth, I should say. We'll talk about this card in a second, because that 1/1 chump blocking things can put them, in range of dying to those effects. But hopefully the Brutal Hunter could potentially make up for that, of course. But we're gonna see. The other consideration was just simply cutting the Sump Dredgers and increasing our curve. But I've really been liking Sump Dredger in this build. Just the fact that it cycles while also being a 4/3 for 4 means we can put out a lot of pressure on our opponent. Even is a reasonable blocker in most instances with that 4th point of attack. We need to kind of jump and trade with something. So that's why I kind of wanted to keep this and see if we could get away with having the Brutal Hunters. If we didn't feel that was the case and we thought that maybe the Sump Dredgers could go, put back the Chump Wump, then for sure we'd put back this clump of Wumps back to a House Spider, I think. Because between the 2 drops, I'm for sure loving the Chempunk Pickpocket. This card has been... I would say it's overperformed overall in the matches that I've played so far. Just the fact that it's a 3/2 for 2 means it's great it's a great blocker against a lot of the aggro decks, and the amount of pressure that it can apply and or card advantage that it generates against slower decks is just excellent. I've seen people spend Avalanche just killing this thing because they were worried about it gaining value, and then allowing us to lay down things like Sump Dredgers or whatever on our next turn just to keep the pressure up. It just felt really good. So with that, the other change I made to this list then, other than swapping out the House Spiders and the Chump Wump, was I took out 1 Culling Strike for this Noxian Guillotine. This is a card I tried in this list before. It didn't feel necessary with all of our other stuff. I'm not sure if this is the right thing to be replacing this 1 Culling Strike, which is what we took out, because Culling Strike right now doesn't feel great. There's a lot of decks that I've faced that are running, Augment cards or Draven or things like Riven. And they all have burst spells that can pump their key threats up to beyond 3 attack, which makes the Culling Strikes not so great. Obviously, that's not all the matches we're going to run into, and Culling Strike's still a quality piece of removal, but I just figured we'll hedge a little bit against the new decks that people are experimenting with and put in something else that could potentially be very valuable. And Noxian Guillotine was the thing that came to mind. Other things to consider, we could try the new Death Beam or Death Ray Mark 1 Maybe even a couple of these in the deck could be fine. Our deck does see a lot of cards, so it wouldn't be unreasonable. It's also, you know, helps level Ez that much quicker. Could also be a Get Excited, but as we noted before, our deck is already kind of starved for discard effects, so I don't know if Get Excited is correct in this list that's not running. You know, it's running Sump Dredgers and Rummage and no Chump Wump. So probably not the case, but could see a Death Ray being okay. Could see a Whirling Death actually maybe being not unreasonable, especially with these, you know, big chunky 3 and 4 drops that we have. It could be reasonable, but we'll see how the Noxian Guillotine feels, I suppose. I guess we could just throw in, because I mean, this was in the deck before, and the reason why I cut it because it just felt unnecessary. It just felt like a slightly worse Scorched Earth most of the time. Obviously, it has huge upside, but again, I think we probably have enough kill damaged unit effects that we don't need one that can constantly recreate itself necessarily. So I think kind of this last minute change as we're talking here, why don't we just throw in a Death Ray and see how it feels? Why not? It's a new card, let's try it out. Could cut a Ravenous Flock. I usually end up discarding at least one Ravenous Flock per game, it almost feels like, to Rummages and stuff, because I just don't need this effect this many times, but having access to this many copies always feels good, especially even just for the early game to help deal with stuff. But let's just go with this and see how it feels. And I think this deck is well, I've been doing well with it in ranked for what little I've played of it, and it's not much of a change. I think we'll just go ahead and jump in the rank queue and see how it feels, and then we can get more of a sense of what kind of removal we'd want in the deck based on what people are playing. And obviously, again, the meta being fresh and new, that's going to change considerably over the next week or so. Let's go with this. Yeah, like Culling Strike, probably pretty good against the Zed Swain deck. Depends on what they have. I'll keep the Mystic Shot too. I think I like this hand overall though. Got a Rummage to generate card advantage eventually. Got one of our 2 drops, which is nice. Yeah.
Give me a sweet bun. Heightens the senses.
Okay, well if that hit the Zed, he's no longer dead to Culling Strike, but I think we're going to use that on the Swain anyway. I'd be surprised if he put that on the Swain. That would be a thing. We're just going to pass, actually. See what they do. If they want to play something, fine. They're burning 1 more mana than we are.
I'll show you how it's done.
Nope, we'll skip. Let's play out another one of these and cycle, perhaps. We could also try to stick the Ezreal. It feels like there's a good chance he just dies, though. We'll just play this. See what they do. If they play another X1, we can Static Shock it and this to clear the board and get in for 2, which should be nice.
I am the
There's
blade
the
in the
Zed.
darkness.
We'll go ahead and try to kill him now, because if they have a trick to save him or something, maybe it means we can stick Ezreal and open attacks. No, we can't. We don't have quite enough mana. Never mind. But that's fine. We got rid of him, so that feels good. Let's cycle. Inform what we want to do a little bit here. Okay. I think we're just gonna attack. I don't think I want to spend the Static Shock yet. Oh, a second Ezreal, though.
The world's
Let's try
a big
it.
place. Let's see all of it.
Oh, it is a great day for oregano.
Just gonna have something for this, but 2 things for it, I suppose. Double Death's Hand. So let's see. Do I want to Static Shock these? I probably just want to Mystic Shot this and call it a day.
Firing! No way!
End the round. There's a Brutal Hunter, so that's probably something we're gonna do next turn. I think we'll go ahead and Static Shock this now. He's not giving us something else to do it with. If he doesn't play out another threat, we can just open attacks with the 2/2s. Otherwise, we can play the Brutal Hunter, of course. Just pass and see what our opponent does.
Wisdom is strength.
Okay.
Time for a true display of skill.
Well, our Brutal Hunter doesn't deal with that. Thermo Beam. Let's go ahead and do this, because even if he chump blocks here, the Ravenous block finishes it off. Sure.
You'll thank me later.
It's going to be a bit scary if they got that swing out of Culling Strike range, but we have a Thermo Beam to deal with him, so that's not so bad. Do I want to just play this out to use my mana? I don't think so. It doesn't feel good to lose all that mana, though. I think... yeah, I kind of want to keep my cards in hand, though, so let's just pass.
Fear the power you do not see.
Okay, well there's that Swain we were worried about. I guess we need to do this in response because it's going to pass priority again, and we need to Scorched Earth.
Charge!
We are at war. Our vision.
Check me out!
Didn't realize Ez was that close to leveling. That's nice. Ooh, a Pharaon. Well, I was gonna play Brutal Hunter. Now I think I'm supposed to play the Pharaon.
This.
What time is it?
Am I supposed to Thermo Beam that? Nah.
One shot, all skill. Woo-hoo-hoo!
Well, now I'm gonna Thermo Beam it because our opponent's trying to get us.
Shadows.
Hopefully they don't have protection for this.
I'll show you how it's done.
And Ezreal is victorious!
Well, unfortunately, the Brutal Hunters didn't feel very useful in that game. They, obviously, the ideal time to play them is going to be on when you have the attack token, so that's a big downside versus the chump ones, obviously, who are better proactive plays, I suppose. Yeah, let's. Yeah, okay, I think I'm into this hand. Get to see how these Brutal Hunters feel. Got an Ezreal, got a Kempung, Pickpocket, one of pretty much our ideal 2-drop, especially if we can get in. I doubt that will be the case, because even if our opponent just passes here with nothing, there's a good chance they have a turn 2 play to block it, but we are definitely going to play out the Chempunk next turn. We're attacking on even, so that makes this Brutal Hunter a little better, for sure. Probably still going to just throw out the Draven on our 3, or hold up Culling Strike. It depends on what they have. If they lay down a Riven, I would like to do that, but they could always get one of the weapons that gives her +2 temporarily. I think Weapon Hilt's a 2-cost spell, though, which is relevant because they could be running it naturally, but extra Rivens turn into that spell, so that's why we want to make sure
Take from the rich, give to me.
we are... yeah, we want to take note. It's a 2-drop. Okay, good. Glad I looked that up. We'll just pass. It's a Thermal Beam for a Riven.
Both broken.
Kind of like that, but this can also kill something bigger later, like a Quinn. I guess Quinn dies to Thermal Beam anyway. Spending most of my turn. I guess I could have Tough, which would be problematic, so I think we're doing this.
Failed.
While they can't hold up Combat Trick to plus get her.
I'll do my best.
Fine with this. That's probably what was going to get traded off of the other last turn. Now we get to see how these Brutal Hunters do.
I always catch my prey.
When will I find peace?
When we return you to Noxus in chains.
I don't really mind that. We can kill that with a Static Shock later. Yeah. Probably gonna open on attacks here. If they don't, we'll Thermal Beam Riven. I think that's what we're doing this turn anyway. Just don't want her generating any more value. And if we play something out and then Thermal Beam, it won't be powerful enough to take her out. So I think we're gonna go ahead and just do this. Okay. My Kingdom for a Static Shock.
I'll write my own story.
Could play the Brutal Hunter. Then we're only playing one thing. I think we're playing a Draven and then some treasure. Just so we're not falling too far behind.
A long path to get here.
And what do we want to do? Do we think we can afford to block the attack? I don't think so. There's that Static Shock, so that's a great draw, actually.
Demacian needs heroes.
Now we just do this. If they have Rangers Resolve, we're just dead.
Scouting ahead. covered.
Probably gonna see a full attack here.
Don't hold back! Just like hunting thresher geese. Charge?
That's probably death. I think we can deal with all of them. They're all fearsome too, so yeah, we're just dead.
Whatever, man. Not my fault.
They had some pretty good. That Cythera, or whatever her name is, the 6/6 plus the Quinn was pretty brutal that game. Especially because we couldn't quite get off to the start we wanted. The Brutal Hunter got nailed by the Sharp Sight, which was unfortunate. So that meant they were able to put on a lot of pressure as well. The game just didn't go in our favor. I think I like that. I want like a Mystic Shot though for this Fizz. Thermal Beam's okay too. Assuming they're going to be Warning Shot deck. A lot of Bilgewater cards create Warning Shots, and if they're pairing with Victor, that seems reasonable.
Humanity is obsolete.
I'm fine just killing this. And then playing down a Draven, opening on attacks. Or
Draven time.
And these two spinning axes can get discarded this rummage, which feels nice.
God, axes need victims.
This is not bad.
Ye started without me.
You got us. Maybe we're
Behold me,
supposed to
hairless apes!
block there. I don't think that's correct though.
Let's boogie.
You poor thing.
Let's try this.
System malfunction!
Malfunction.
I got ways to find me mushrooms.
There's a protection for the Fizz, unfortunately, but he's not really that big. Could also just chump with his Ezreal.
Thought you'd never
honestly.
ask.
If we felt the need. Okay, we got ways to rummage to that Death Beam. Which is nice. No.
There's plenty of killing left.
Axes coming right up.
I think marking 1 damage on this is fine with this Scorched Earth in our hand. They're gonna chump here, but we have lots of ways of killing those. Including just like...
Now we're cooking.
doing this. At this point, it feels like we just need to not die so that this Captain Charon can go to work.
Go!
Hello? Hello.
I know you're thinking and stuff, but could you maybe speed things up a little? Firing!
What's nice about this now is that our Ezreal level's up, so it actually can block the Fizz.
They don't know what they're up against!
The 3 Mark III, not awful.
No!
So they could get in for 5. I think I'm just playing the Pharaoh.
Wanna see a trick?
They won't pass!
You're between me and glory!
This is gonna be fun!
No sweat!
Yeah, I don't want to die by mistake to this thing, so we'll just block. Ez is not getting it anyway. Obviously, he's really good with these decimates that we have in hand. So I don't think we can risk dying to that. We'll open on attacks here.
No outsiders!
I'm sorry, how many? Oh, he counterfeit copies. Okay, gotcha. Let's start with this, because if we have a way to like guaranteed stay alive, that would be better. Okay, we do. Now we're just dead. Most likely. Because this kills us now too. Oof. Good game. All our opponent has to do is open on attacks here.
I wanna play!
Whatever, man. Not my fault.
Close one. Wasn't for that Fizz rally thing. We would have had more time, obviously, to do our thing. Counterfeit copies. I have to read that card. Like, what were the chances of him drawing that many subpersibles? It seemed pretty unlikely, but I guess each one draws a card as well when they come into play, so just makes it all the more likely that they can just chain them together. That pretty much was their play for the last, like, 4 turns of that game, was just a subpersible, which felt bad. Especially considering we didn't find any Raven's Flock, which would have been nice. All we needed to do was tack on 1 point of damage on those things, finish them off really cheaply. Well, that's how the cookie crumbles, I suppose, sometimes. Maybe... yeah. So far, yeah, we didn't get we haven't gotten to play with the Brutal Hunters that much so far, but haven't felt like that much of a meaningful trade so far. In the one game they felt very awkward, and the one game where they would have done well, there were just combat tricks to deal with them. And then I think I'm keeping these two. Sure. They would have been nice in that game to kill the elusives. Force them to block. And I feel like this card could be particularly good against the androids that a lot of people are playing. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and play this out. They could block with like an Elise, but I think that's a fine trade if they have it. I think we want to throw this into that. We have a Mystic Shot. Let's see if we can get value off of this. I'd also rather like block a Kalista, which is something that they could be playing this turn. Sure. We'll just kill the bigger thing, and then we'll brutal hunter this.
I always catch my prey.
So even if they are running, they're likely playing the stock kind of fearsomes list, so they could have Pale Cascade. And what's nice is that this kills this even with that. Okay, we'll see what they found.
You are my prey.
So we know that they have a Doom Beast in hand based on that play. I might actually just probably playing another Doom Beast, right? Like, that's what we think. Let's just do this now. See what they do. Maybe I'm supposed to wait for them to play with these, because that means that they don't have any other plays this turn, and then we can challenge and then get in with this Chempunk for some value. I wonder if they'll concede. Not the greatest draw. We have enough such effects in hand. They probably don't play landmarks, so. I think this is worth shooting. We'll just go ahead and cycle one of these. I don't think it's going to be that valuable this game. Ezreal's a nice pickup, for sure. It's actually close to leveling, too. Probably going to lay down Captain Pharaon next turn. It depends. Depends on what our opponent plays. Depends on... Yeah. Depends on...
The world's a big
Now
place.
they just missed the alliance
Let's
on
see
their
all
thing
of it.
too. Rough. They swing, we'll chump with the Sump Dredger. They're likely gonna play that Doom. Okay, so that's what one of their draws is, sure. I mean, I'm fine taking the 3 damage here. So we know they have a Doom Beast and a Frenzied Skitterer in their hand. It's still worth playing the Pharaon. They could, I mean, they could be running the Harrowing. I doubt it. Or sorry, Ruination. They could be running the Harrowing as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's gonna level. It's like 8, 9. No, I think I'm supposed to play. Am I? I don't know. That's a tough one. What am I thinking? I'm just trying to think about how we lose this game, and I feel like, okay, your opponent's is done. They clearly didn't have
I knew we had it all along.
it. They were tired of us taking our time trying to make the decision of whether or not to attack, but I'm fine with that if they want to concede. Tryndamere, Runeterra. Do we think they're probably playing Field Rush? I think I like the Chempunk Pickpocket. It's pretty much ideal for this kind of matchup. But I think we're looking for some of our 3s there instead. So they
Take from the rich,
have something
give
to
to me.
deal with this. Or block it.
What do we have here?
Don't.
Yoink.
This is what we talked about at the start of this set. Not a good hit, but... Okay.
Don't blink or you'll miss me.
Smells like opportunity. Sharing is caring.
I really want to hit those catalysts like our opponent is, or like even a Field Rush, but not happening. But these avalanches do mean that we have something to discard to rummage.
Firing!
So that's nice. We could also reasonably avalanche plus avalanche plus scorched earth is what I was gonna say, but they
I always catch my prey.
What do we have here?
triple avalanche.
Charge!
I think to be resource efficient here, we should do this. I think we need to do this and see if they have healing. Even if they do, we should get them down to 2, and then we have to wait.
Easy. Like my name.
Zone. I think I'll keep the Death Ray then, because it can deal with a Zoe. Scorched Earth probably fine. Do we need to keep this in our opener though? I don't think so. I like Draven. It's too bad we're not attacking on even odds, but that's okay. Okay, that's pretty good considering we're attacking on evens though. Pass. Yeah, I was gonna say, probably we'll see our opponent do the same. Play this now, play something, then Thermal Beam.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty sparkle fly.
Saw our opponent discard a bashed. Now they have a bunch of jump blockers. I want to get this back in the deck, especially because this is a blocker for Draven. I think we just get rid of it, play the Brutal Hunter, and see if we can punch in some amounts of damage. I guess I could Mystic Shot it, but I don't think I need to.
I always catch my prey.
Let's go with this.
Axis.
You are my prey.
Draven down.
Don't blink, or you'll miss me.
Now, it's probably not worth chump blocking here. They've shown us Mystic Shots, but they could also have Get excited, and we can just get rid of this blocker this way. Is it worth chumping with Ez? No, I think we want to try to get value with Ez.
Firing!
You don't even need to do this. Just, now this can actually kill this.
Sup, Brett? No escape!
Now they have to decide if they want to spend removal, saving the submersible.
Nailed it!
Order, entropy, a never-ending cycle.
I think I want to do this before they get to play something in response. They most likely have something, but... You're gonna go to a 4? Okay.
Sure!
I'm assuming they're gonna play this out because it's free. And then we'll just static shock both of these, even though this doesn't die. By targeting it, it means that Ezreal levels up, and that's what I care about.
Unforeseen outcome.
They don't know what they're up against!
Would really like to see a rummage off the top of our deck.
Eminently logical. It's smaller than a diagram.
I think we're just gonna do this. Another Ezreal. Do we want to attack into these?
One shot, all skill.
I don't think so. I think we'd actually just want to hit him for 2. I'm gonna keep these around.
Reality is just your mind crumbling under what it doesn't understand, silly!
Still waiting on that rummage, or even a sump dredger would be nice to turn these into actual cards. Sure.
The world's a big place. Let's see all of it.
It could be right.
No! No! No!
I think we'll just take a hit for 5 here. I don't want to spend my entire turn just thermo beaming.
No way!
gonna get a little bit of value out of Zoe, but it's okay. Now that's a mystic shot, that's not bad.
Oh, the sweet smell of science.
Nerd! Let's boogie!
You are my prey.
Portal me something cool.
That's all three of the timers. That's nice. I think we're just supposed to kill the Zoe here.
There.
Alright, Captain Pharaon or Rummage? That's what we're looking for. Possibly the worst draw in our deck. Or an Ezreal, I suppose, would be nice too. Oh, that's not fair. You're not supposed to have star shaping in your deck. That's cheating. Healing is cheating. Just take the 4. It's too bad they had back-to-back thermo beams for our Ezreals this game. Otherwise, we'd be a little bit more on par with them as far as card advantage is concerned. Zoe wouldn't have gone in that one turn. We'd be shooting down
Axis
their
coming
stuff.
right up.
This would have been nice a little earlier. Yikes. Okay. I think we're feeding that. Whatever they find. It's an elusive.
You name it, I'll nick it.
Whatever, man. Not my fault.
Yeah, it was a good match. Couldn't quite get under what our opponent was doing there. Like I said, that the back-to-back thermo beams for our Ezreals, really, really good. I think we did well as far as saving our removal for their key threats, but I mean, the fact that Heimer creates turrets in response meant they kind of gained a lot of card advantage over us, and then we couldn't find our finishers to kind of close out the game. Rummage to turn those axes into actual cards, a Pharaon to pressure them the turn before that one. Could have really changed things. this? Okay, Farron. Now you're coming too early. I know I'm being very wishy-washy, but now is not quite the time. It's a narwhal. It's also elusive, which means it's blocking my Ezreals. So am I supposed to take this opportunity to damage that? Anyway. I think that's fine. Like, we can kill it with Ravenous Flock, or we can even finish it off with a Static Shock later. Maybe this is overly aggressive. I don't know. I'm not sure why they would do that right then. But since they're considered injured,
Never ask. I don't miss.
Felt like it would be a fine time to play an Ezreal. The potential to open attacks here. Them not having blockers is huge. Yeah, if they want to spend a card to not give me that Mystic Shot, I'm okay with that. Let's see what else they got going. A fairly solid selection of removal.
We see through all.
Things that they could have. So we'll do this in case they have yet another way to pump up defense. Probably don't have a way to. They could have a way to get this out of range of this Culling Strike. Okay. Only thing that Death Ray really hits is but so this kills him even through a Troll Chant or a Elixir of Iron, which is what we saw out of them before. So I think this is worth going for here because they can't do it.
Stop bragging if you could back it
So
up.
they're willing to spend a Frostbite on this as well. They probably, one of the things we're going to have to worry about from them is they're probably running at least one copy of Harsh Winds in their deck. Since they are a tempo deck, they like to, the Frostbite effects are what they use to race other aggressive lists, and that'll be very good against our Captain Farron. Obviously he creates Decimates, so that's great, but they haven't really done much damage to their life total yet, so Decimates aren't really great right now. I'm definitely going to spend this Mystic Shot if they go to pass here. We could burn a lot of their mana. We have more stuff in hand that we can do, so.
Firing!
Be resource efficient and spend resources like so, trying to kill this. It's pretty great because our opponent's not even getting value off of the attune on these units as well, so that's really nice. That's a pretty good hit. I mean, we've been wanting
Go
more.
with the flow.
Let's play this one.
What you looking for?
Let's do this.
Let's do that. This will level up Ezreal, which is nice. And even if they have a way to save the Zap, we can Scorched Earth to finish it off. Then we can Death Ray this, which means that this can get in and start generating value. And I think we're doing that instead of playing the Farron first thing.
Oh, take your time, pal.
That could be
It's
wrong.
not like I've got better things to do.
But like I said, they could have frostbite effects that we have to worry about, so... Okay. So let's do this now. Let's start getting some value off of these cards.
I'm so good, I surprised myself! Charge!
May as well swing because this Sap Spray Fin's not getting any bigger. I am probably just supposed to open on or play Pharaon before attacking next turn. If they have Harsh Winds, they can only Harsh Winds 2 out of my 3 threats because they don't have any mana.
Try again.
We won't be able to misuse Ezreal's Mystic Shot, unfortunately, but I don't think that matters.
Let me at him.
Even if they can block and kill Ezreal here, I don't think it matters. If they have a Frostbite, they have to use it on this Pharaon or they're just dead this game.
Nice! Back it up.
It's 11 now. If we're not able to use the Mystic Shot this round anyway, and this is pushing 1 more damage, so I think I'm fine with that. Am I playing this Mushroom Cloud at this point? Probably. If they draw a Mushroom, it's 1 damage, but it's still guaranteed 1 damage from Ezreal right. Probably worth it. And then we can... Oh, that means we can't double decimate next turn.
Jack pocket.
Our opponent's Spinito. Okay. Yeah. They're able to control the board very well that game while still applying some amount of pressure, and yeah. Yeah, I think we'll end it there. I'd like to play with this deck a little more, but I think that's a good spot to end it at. Yeah, definitely. The deck feels great. I'm not sure that the Brutal Hunters added. I don't know if they added too much to the deck. I like the idea of being able to challenge specific pesky, elusive units in certain matchups. We actually did run into a lot of Fizz decks and even a few, Nyandroid decks that this card would have been really good at had we drawn them at the right times. I think it's worth still experimenting with, but the fact that it's not a great turn 4 play when we're attacking on odds makes me kind of want the Chump Wumps back in because of that. The Death Rays actually felt even though we only have 1 copy out, we actually drew the Death Ray quite a few times in those sets, or in that set, and it felt pretty good in this deck actually, considering we're rummaging and Sump Dredgering. We're just cycling through our deck so many times that we can see the additional copies of this. Made me kind of think that I'd want to try it, like we said before, instead of this, instead of one of those Ravenous Flocks, and just go up to 2 of these. So that's something else I'm going to experiment with. Maybe we like it for that reason, but at the same time, having access to Ravenous Flock in the early game feels pretty good. Like, you can generate a lot of tempo with it, and Deathray, and that's not something Deathray can really do necessarily. And Thermal Beam would be another consideration, because this is a card you usually don't want to see like too many of in certain matchups, but you usually want to see at least one of these per game. So that's kind of why I feel like you really want maximum copies of these, because they're not bad in multiples, but most games you want to be drawing at least one of them. So, so something else worth considering. So anyway, with that, I think I'm going to end it for today. It's a little shorter stream than normal today, just because, you know, there's preparations that need to be done for the holiday season. I'm sure some of you can understand, even though it's a little bit different this year. Under, you know, with the circumstances, there's still much to be done. So that's going to do it for me. We'll be back, probably not next Friday, I'm on holidays, but we'll be back sometime shortly after that with more Runeterra. In the meantime, I'll definitely continue exploring, you know, other decks, other builds, and see what I'd like to stream and record for you all. And yeah, we'll get into it soon. So until then, take care, and we'll see you guys next time.